Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope and trust that you are well. Let me just double check that we are all good to go here. Welcome to Monday Night Live with me, Dina Hayes-Burke, also known as the Vision Builder. Today we are having our live Q&A. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your positive comments about Monday Night Live being back. I know that this is essentially a prayer answered for many, many people. And I really am grateful that I was able to find a way to get back to being able to allocate time to teach and to empower and to encourage you while you're on your business journey. So if you are here joining in live, please say hi. If you are watching the replay, hashtag replay, so I know those of you who caught the replay. So if you are new to the space, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dana Hayes-Burke, also known as a Vision Builder. I'm a business strategist and consultant, business coach, international speaker, and I also specialize in the area of leadership. And my work is to help business owners and leaders within the Caribbean and the Caribbean diaspora to grow and to scale their businesses and to help them to see, believe, and build a new vision. So today, this session is quite an interactive one, so feel free to share it out to others. And I am going to start with the Q&A, utilizing questions that I regularly get from business owners, because I think it is something that I see over and over and over. And of course, I expect that it would add value to you. Now, I'm going to start off with talking about what I covered in our first session this month, which is how to spot a good business opportunity, or how to determine when an opportunity is good for you, how to make that big shift, how to figure out what that next big move is. And I think that that particular topic resonated with quite a bit of you, because a lot of the times you are always looking for that next big thing, thinking about that next big move, and therefore being able to figure out how to sift through those things really makes a big difference. So again, welcome to those of you who are joining. Say hi in the chat. I'm seeing the live chat here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at the live chat. And it would be great to know where you're joining us from, right? Because of course, our audience is from across the region and in some cases across the globe. So I wanted to touch on the idea of qualifying an opportunity, and I'm piggybacking off a question that came out of a session that Stratton Consulting, which I am co-founder of along with Andrea Ragu. We had a session on Saturday for Rand Credit Union, and one of the questions that came up was around the idea of collaboration and knowing when it's a good time to collaborate versus when it's a good time to hire. And so one of the moves that people often make, especially in this time, is that we would often look at collaborations. We're often looking at ways to extend our reach. And oftentimes, when it comes to collaborations, I feel as though business owners do two things, right? Either one, they lie to themselves about what this collaboration is going to give them, right? So they're going into the collaboration looking for an opportunity to get in front of a new audience. And a lot of the times that is what you get on social media, going to these collaborations, do these joint things to get in front of a new audience. So very much, I think we kind of lie to ourselves, or you could lie to yourself about what it's going to give you. Or secondly, what I see happening is that every opportunity that passes by, you think because it came your way, it is for you. And so we have to be very mindful and very careful about that. So how do you know when to collaborate and when to hire? A simple explanation is this. You need to look at collaboration as a way to close the gap in your business model that solves a problem that your current client base or the client base that you're looking to engage with needs to have closed, right? So when you think about a collaboration, it's not only about what you can get out of it, because then you create these You create, in a sense, these disadvantageous situations where everybody's trying to get from everybody else. When you start thinking about collaborations in terms of how can I close the gap or add another level of service in an area that I know is necessary for my client base, but I don't necessarily have the competence, the skill, the capacity for it. Then you can start thinking about a collaboration, and there are different types of collaborations. But what I want you to note is that a collaboration is a legal engagement with another business, and it's really supposed to be intended to give mutual benefits to both of you. So choosing spaces and places that you find yourself in is really important, and determining if a collaboration makes sense to you must really be looked through those lenses, right? Secondly, in terms of when you are thinking about collaborations and opportunities, quote unquote, right? You have to think about a few things that helps you to qualify. Does it make sense for the business that you are in? Does it make sense for your vision? Does this person have a track record of treating fairly with persons who collaborated with them? Meaning, when I look at the collaborations, is it usually one-sided? Are they the one always benefiting and the other person more or less remains the same? These are some questions that you need to ask yourself about. Now, that is how you start to evaluate collaborations. Collaborations also must not compromise your own unique positioning within the market, meaning that when I see a collaboration, it must make sense in the mind of my ideal client, in the mind of my current client base, and those who are in the ecosystem of my business. It must make sense to them that this alignment fits with who they understand you to be, or who they understand you to be becoming, because you can be in a place of evolution. But what it should not do is be so far removed from what you are known for, what you are trying to build, that it makes no sense to them and they don't know where to place you. You don't want to create confusion with your collaborations. Make sense? Let me know if you're following along, if that makes sense to you. So these are the considerations that you have with your collaboration. Now, how do you know whether it's a time to collaborate or it's a time to hire? Well, if you find yourself in a position where I know that there is this gap in how I deliver service to my customers or what they need, but entering into a public collaboration with somebody who offers that service doesn't really make sense to me. All I really need to do is hire the service so that that service becomes a part of how I deliver value. Then I'm going to hire the help that I need. So I'm going to hire within my business so that it makes sense. So a good example is if you know that your administrative part of your business is suffering, meaning that your communication with customers, etc., is affecting your customer service, then you will want to think about hiring, not necessarily collaborating, especially if you are not in that virtual administrative space. Make sense? So these are some things that you want to consider when you start thinking about your next big move, grabbing those opportunities that come your way. We have to truly be critical. And when I say critical, I mean you have to evaluate well when it comes to looking at opportunities that come your way, because there's a psychological principle involved in this. People are not mean, but they will always see you the way that is best suited to them or most benefits them. And so it's not their responsibility to ensure that the collaboration works for you. It's your responsibility to ensure that the collaboration makes sense for you. And that's something that I want you to bear in mind. So that's a question that I've gotten that goes along with what it is I shared in our first Monday Night Live of August. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start touching on other topics that I feel has come up quite frequently. And if this is something that connects with you and you have a question, you want an answer, you want to follow up on that, please feel free to ask, and I am going to be willing to answer. So when it comes now to marketing, oh my goodness, marketing becomes a really big thing. I have, every time I go somewhere and we're talking about business or I'm having a consultation call with someone, the first thing that they complain about is, I'm not up to social media. I'm not doing well with my social media marketing. And that usually is the first complaint. Now, if you are that person that you're saying, you know what, I really don't feel like I'm keeping up on the social media. I'm trying so hard with my business and the marketing. I really need to improve on the social media, and you're beating yourself up on it. This part is for you. What do you do when you feel as though your social media marketing is not up to where it's supposed to be? Well, first thing I want to do is assure you that it takes more than just social media marketing to get sales in your business. If you doubt me, then I want you to think about this. If you are saying to me, Dana, I am not great at social media marketing, I have not been publicizing as much as I should. I do have a page, but I haven't been active. I'm not very active. I just post and I go. If you've been saying that and you say that to me, then my question to you would be simply this. Well, how are you getting sales? A lot of the times you realize that you are getting your sales from referrals. Referrals still continue to be one of the best ways that businesses get sales. Now, if you've been in business for a long time and you say to me, well, I'm not getting referrals, I would say to you that that is happening mainly because your positioning is off. When your positioning is off, people won't remember you, and therefore they won't refer you. You become a place where I buy something, but I don't need to remember, because what you do or how you do it or how you articulate what you do is not memorable. So that's a conversation for a whole other day. Maybe we can do positioning another time. But if you find you're struggling with your social media, understand this, that social media is just one aspect of your marketing. It is not all of your marketing. So stop beating yourself up. I think the biggest struggle is that you're not clear on your marketing. Social media is a confirmatory space, and I constantly say that because in a world where everybody is online and it's overly noisy, you can post and people who are following you will not see you. So it does not always translate to the sales that you're looking for. It is a part of your marketing strategy. So when you tell me that I am not doing well with my social media and you think that that's all of your marketing, yeah, then you are not understanding that social media is not all of your marketing. And you need to divorce that idea that you have to be posting all day, every day, on every platform, all of the time. You see, Natasha, yeah, you're not bothered by your social media because it is mainly referrals. Now, I am saying that I'm not saying that you don't need your socials, but it is a confirmation space. It means that if someone says to me, go to this place because they have really great cakes. You're looking for a birthday cake. This is a good space to go. They tell you to go over there. Then you be like, yeah, give me the info. They may give you a phone number, but they'll also maybe give you a social media handle so that you can go and see their work. If you don't have a presence, it becomes a problem. So social media is a part of that. What you really need to be focused on if you find that you're not making sales is that you need to figure out where your customers are hanging out, where they are looking for solutions, and spend your time and your energy there. So there are a few things that I want you to pay attention to. And this is me answering a question because I see people in a chokehold like this about not posting on Instagram and not posting on Facebook and not being on TikTok and all of those things. And again, I would like to reiterate, it is not that you should not be on those spaces. Clearly, I'm on those spaces as well. But I can tell you that because those spaces are often controlled by the intentions of their owners, and because the algorithm is constantly going to change, and because you may not know when it's going to change, and because it's irregular, you need to start thinking differently about your marketing. And so you have to start thinking, where do my people look for this particular solution? Where are they having conversations? How can I be in a space where they directly have access to me and I don't have to wait until they stumble upon me? So there are things that you will do. You start crafting a more holistic marketing plan that will include direct marketing. Going straight to the source is still a thing. While it is that long ago, that would have simply meant newspapers, magazines, radio ads, television ads, and those things are still viable. because honestly, radio ads are not as expensive as they used to be because social media is contending, right? But you can also do things like if you know that you have a certain type of product that or service that is mostly get a certain type of person, maybe professionals in a professional space, then the good old days of sending in your information or allowing them to see your information or going in to do sampling or going in to do a talk, that sort of thing can actually help you to get the client base, to get more visibility. And once if this visibility is gotten, and then they come and they connect with you on your socials or wherever you would like them to connect with you, because WhatsApp is still a big thing in the Caribbean. We now have WhatsApp channels that people are signing up for to get real-time information about things. You can then have that situation where they're now in a community space because community will continue to build referrals. That's why even long ago they would have had things like keepsakes for different things. Cricks, Bermudas would have these keepsakes. Why are we doing that? Because they're trying somehow to build community, because community still works in the marketing process. So I would say to you, yes, you need your social media. However, if your people are not going onto Instagram and searching for your item directly, then you need a different plan. You need to figure out how to get closer to them. You need to figure out how to get in their face. You need to figure out how to stand out above everyone else. And when you do that, you're going to find that you're going to get more traction. You're going to get the sales. You're not going to have to work as hard because it's so clear who you're trying to reach out to. Does that make sense to you all? So we need to rethink marketing because I think that marketing for so many people has just become post content, post content, post content, post content. And while has become the lowest hanging fruit, also it's missing the mark because you are not even clear in a sea of everybody who you're fishing for. Yeah. So that is another question that is often had. And my advice to you is to please start thinking about your marketing. Please start thinking about, as holistically, I should say, please start thinking about where your client base is and ensure that you get yourself in front of more directly in front of more of the people that you really want to get in front of. That is going to play such a vital role in this upcoming year, I would say, because now that everybody's trying to make sales, I don't know if it's just me, I don't know if it's just my timeline, but I just feel as though social media is loud as ever. And the last time it was this loud was COVID because everybody was at home just making content, making the sourdough bread and the at-home KFC, and in Trinidad, the at-home doubles, and it was just a lot. So you now have to sift through all of that to find your own positioning. So this is a good time to start looking at creating communities, looking at creating that WhatsApp channel. And as I say that, I'll say this. There's a reason that that WhatsApp channel is taking off the way that it's taking off. Because people are genuinely tired of trying to figure out if their people who they buy from are still online. They're genuinely just fed up of trying to figure out how to find you and having this WhatsApp space that they could just come directly and get the information is becoming ideal for them because we really don't want to make it complicated for them to search, right? So that being said, I want to pause at this time and see, do you have any critical questions? What's going on with you guys? What is it that you would like to find out from me? Any advice that you're looking for as you go through this time? Right? So I know we have a few of us on live. And of course, if you're watching the replay, please feel free to ask your questions. I'll come back onto the replay and answer it. But do you have any questions? I know it's going to be a little delay there in terms of you being able to type in. So while you are doing that, I'm going to answer one final question that I got. Well, not really a question, but it's a concern that was raised quite recently when having a conversation with someone. We all understand and we all know that the cost of doing business has gone up quite a lot. If you are in the production space, what tends to happen? Good evening, Nicholas. If you are in the production space, what has now been happening is that with the cost of goods going up, with the import of things going up, with the looming situation with tariffs and the market doing what the market does, which is responding before the action is taken, and with suppliers doing what suppliers do, which is raising price in anticipation, it has now become quite difficult to keep the same standards without causing severe price sensitivity. Any of you all have experienced that so far? Having that issue of everything is going up and I'm trying to figure out how to manage it. And especially when you're trying to build something that's a full experience. So recently I had opportunity to chat with someone informally, and they were talking about this that was happening with them. And I remember, I think on one of these YouTube videos, I did talk about being able to, when inflation is happening, what is your inflationary combat strategy? And I just want to take a moment and just share quickly on that, right? One of these things we have to now figure out, two things we need to focus on in these times. I see you, Natasha, said yes, it's happening and it's probably going to get a little bit worse. If you are planning to make price adjustments right now because of the things that are happening, there's one critical thing that you're going to have to incorporate into your new pricing strategy. You have to make an inflationary projection. And what do I mean by that? I mean that right now we know what the current prices are, but there's a strong likelihood that it's going to go up a little bit more. So when you rework your prices, you can't rework your prices only for where it is now. You have to rework your prices with a projection of an increase later on that deals with the inflationary pricing structure. Now, the good news about it is that if you're not good at those things and if you don't know the economics of it, and that's where AI could come in and help you out, right? Because what you want to do is ensure that you increase the price in a reasonable way that makes sense, but you want to also ensure that there is only one price increase over a period of time. So what is now happening is that a lot of people, because they're trying to figure this out and catch up with the pricing issues, their prices are constantly changing. Every batch of products that they order is a new price, is a new price, is a new price. Or they're trying to absorb the price, and really what that is doing is in cutting into their profits. And if your profits weren't set properly in the first place, then you're finding yourself just running a break even, just running a break even business. And so Natasha is in the comments saying it is seems like it's increasing monthly. The reason that your suppliers' prices will be increasing monthly is they themselves are not using a new pricing framework for the time that we are in. You do have to ensure that you put an inflationary percentage on your pricing so that you won't find yourself becoming that person who is changing monthly, because constant changes is going to increase the price sensitivity of your customers. And essentially what they will start doing is restricting their buying because they're uncertain and because of the constant changes. And you know that as human beings, we don't like change. So if you are constantly changing the price, you are likely going to push people towards substitutes. As much as they love you, you're going to push them towards substitutes. So to deal with the constant price changes, one of the things you want to think about is rework your pricing, absolutely. Make a reasonable projection of what the price increase is going to look like over the next 6 months or so, and set your prices at a place that will treat for all of that. Now, some of you all will say, but that's going to run people away. Here's my position on it. This is where more than ever before, you need to anchor yourself on your positioning and what is the true value that you bring. Because if you are competing bread for bread, then you're going to be outpriced. People are going to go to cheaper because all you are giving them is bread. But if there is a value that you are amplifying for this person, like convenience, like quality of consistency of quality, that makes it worthwhile for them, they are going to take the price. More than that, when things are constantly increasing, meaning that your inputs are constantly increasing, because you have priced well, you will be actually the one vendor, the one person that they buy from who is not changing their price every Monday morning. And so right away when all else is changing and there's instability and discomfort for your customers, you become that sense of stability because you know what? You are the person who didn't change the price. So when it comes to dealing with what we are dealing with now, we got to be much wiser in our pricing frameworks and in our pricing strategy so that not only will we not undercut our profits, we'll be able to buffer when things change, and we will also continue to make our customers feel as though or know that we are providing consistency and not necessarily changing our price every 2 minutes. So that's the first thing. Work on your pricing. The second thing that I'm going to ask you to do when you are dealing with the times that we are in is that you have to sit and evaluate what are the true value add components of what you are offering, whether it is a product or a service or a program. You have to understand and recognize and sit down and assess what is the true value add. And that means you may have to eliminate some things that make you feel good, but doesn't really add much value to the customer as a cost-cutting measure. So for example, I might be offering some sort of jewelry, but I really like these very cute little pouches, that are hand woven from Italy, wherever it is. But at the end of the day, when you check it out and you do your research with your customers, you know what they do with the little pouch? Throw it on the side and just wear the bracelet. So that means that spending the extra amount of money for that particular pouch is not a true value add for your customer. It is good to have in the supply chain, but it's not a must have. It does not reduce the value chain for your customers, right? So you now want to think about what I have in my value chain of bringing this to the customer, but it does not add value, and start stripping. Start stripping, start stripping. It might even look like reducing your offerings. So some of us have a lot of offerings, but then you know that this is my most in-demand offering, whereas this on the other side is occasional. I may have this on my shelves for 12 months, whereas this goes every single month. Divert your spending to the thing that is of most value. Yes, there is somebody who would have bought this all along, but they are not buying it right now anyway. So divert, right? So that's how you start thinking about troubleshooting, fighting as a small business owner to curtail the impact of inflationary costs and what we may have coming by way of economic changes globally, so that your business can still function, can still maintain a measure of profitability, and as well keep your client base happy. Hopefully that brings some clarity for you all. Let me know in the comments. But the thing about it is as well, I truly believe in taking big business strategy and applying it to a small business so we could do well as also. And when you start looking at some of the bigger businesses, those SMEs within our region and within our jurisdiction, what you start to realize, you realize they themselves are also trimming the fat. They themselves are also trimming the fat, meaning that they are not bringing in some products. It's just real. Some of the things that we want to buy ain't going to be on the shelves soon. Not because they can't buy it, not because they don't have the money to buy it, but when they do their analysis of how long things occupy the shelf, what the demand for it is, if it adds to the value chain for their customers, for their main customer base, is it attracting a new customer base like they plan for it to attract? And they realize that the numbers ain't adding up. You know what they do? Say, next time for that. Right? So we want to start thinking about those things. So those are the three questions that I kind of answered today, three topics that I answered today. Firstly, dealing with qualifying opportunities, knowing when to collaborate versus when to hire. Secondly, looking at those of you who are distressed by your social media marketing and understanding that the bigger issue is that you do need a complete marketing plan so that you get in front of your customers and you eliminate all of the difficulties around whether they like the post but don't buy. And then thirdly, if you are in a space where you are impacted heavily by the rising cost of everything, the import cost of things, etc., how you can start looking at your value chain in such a way that you can minimize the impact, and then how you could think about adjusting your prices in a way that it does not enhance or create greater price sensitivity amongst your clients. So those are the thoughts that I have today. Anyone else has anything they wish to ask before I wrap up our session tonight? Yeah, that's correct. Products we are accustomed to seeing are not there. Yeah, big chains do that absolutely every single time. They do that every single time because it's all about making the most sense. And as a business, you are always going to have finite resources. It doesn't really matter how big you are, you always have finite resources. And so you have to make sense in terms of how you actually address utilizing those finite resources. So that being said, as I wrap up, I want to just let you all know, in case you missed it, Money and Strategy Moves for Entrepreneurs is coming up on the 15th and 16th of September. It is a hybrid event, so you can be here in person or you can be online joining Andrea and I. We are the co-founders of Stratfin Consulting, where strategy and finance meet. And this is our third year of doing Money and Strategy Moves for Entrepreneurs. This year, it's all about building a legacy business. And while it is that some of us may say, well, Dana, I don't necessarily want to build a legacy business, it's also about understanding how, as a business owner, you can use what is available to you to create a business that can get investors later on, can be sold profitably, can be put on a stock exchange if that's something you're interested in doing. And we're going to be looking as well as how you as a business owner can make your money work for you. So in this MSME, in terms of building a legacy, it's about the business, but it's also about the business owner. So looking at how you cover yourself as a business owner, we have a financial advisor coming in, looking at how to make investments in your business, how to use money to invest so that as a business owner, you are secure. I think the number one problem that most business owners face is that retirement doesn't seem like a possibility. It almost feels as though if I'm not employed, there are certain realities that can never be mine. Retirement, having a retirement plan, having money when you are done with your business, to live well. And so this is actually going to deal with demystifying all of that. And one of the things that I observe and I recognize because your girl love this kind of thing, I recognized and I explored that the oil crisis of the 1970s, at the end of the 1970s, led to a recession that is quite similar to ours that we are now facing in the 1980s, the early 1980s. But a lot of the businesses that we herald as great successes made certain strategic investments and strategic shifts in that time so that even though now we are in another recession, you are seeing that these businesses are continuing to be making expansive moves by leveraging the changes that they made back then. I'm sharing that with you because more or less we are in the 80s and in 2025. And we have more access to information. We have lower barriers to entry to certain things. And while they invested in the things then that allowed them to live lucratively now, we have things that we can invest in now that will allow us to live lucratively in the future. And even now, start to leverage it even now. So our goal in MSME building a legacy business is really to help you to understand what is available to you, to secure your business, to secure your own personal financial future, and to start making those strategic shifts now while also still growing your business now. So it's not only the future, but the future starts with the moves that we make today. And so with that, we have a financial advisor who's coming in. We have an investment advisor. We do have an attorney who's not only going to talk about business structure, but also talk about how copyright becomes the biggest asset that we can have for the future. And then, of course, you have Andrea and myself who will be going through building out a proper strategic action plan with you so that you have action steps to go away with right away, right after MSME. So if you are interested in attending, I'm going to drop the link in the comments so that you can secure your spot. We do have a sale that's going on right now. And I really, really would love to encourage you to make the investment in MSME. Every person, every business owner that has made the investment in MSME has seen significant growth in their business from the clarity and from the action steps that were given to them. And I know that the same thing is going to happen for you. You know that I'm a no fluff zone, and I've collaborated with someone who is also a no fluff zone. And our goal is to help you to build a stronger, more profitable business, one that could survive this time and thrive. I really believe that this is a crucial time to be making these strategic shifts. And we don't want to keep the information just for ourselves and do it just for ourselves. We want to bring you on board with it. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I look forward to our next Monday Night Live in September, the first Monday in September, where we'll have a brand new topic. And then on the third Monday of September, we will then have our next Q&A, and I'm trusting you all to come through with some really good questions. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Talk to you soon.